Basically, I'm a basketball coach. My name is PB Srinath. I work in State Bank of India. I'm a former Indian women team basketball coach and a current Telangana basketball team coach. We won recently National Games gold medalist and silver medal in the senior national championships. Actually, the discomfort word is like, discomfort is something, is a normal this thing. Actually, if it is not serious injury, if with the pain coming out of injuries, the level of discomfort will be very, very high. So, first we have to observe the player, whether he is able to expressing the same or not. It's called expression of incident. If the same thing he is doing for years, but now he is doing it at a different level, what it is causing him to do underperforming? What I mean to say is that I have to make it out. And first thing, as soon as I observe, I have to observe keenly and then I have to talk to player. Then I'll see whether it is coming out of injury or any small discomfort in muscles or something like that. And fortunately, we have physiotherapists accompanying the teams. So I'll suggest my physiotherapist to attend him and see that if it is not serious, we'll continue with the proper first aid and all, or otherwise I'll ask him to take rest and then take the guidance of physiotherapist, and then we'll go for the expertise of doctors and all. That is how we are, because it's not a simple one match. A player getting injured, aggravated, will have to be rested for so long. That I don't want. If you identify it at the very initial level, with a minimum of first aid and minimum of precautions and all, we can avoid the injury. That is what I feel. Most common injuries are one thing is whether it is muscular or any joint injuries, like a joint in the sense ankle, knee, shoulder and back. Out of all this, personally I feel is knee and back injuries are very critical, for which you definitely need a expertise. I always suggest coaches, don't take risk with the back and knees, because these two injuries will affect their personal lives also. For which we have to take care of, because after all, player is a human being, we have to take care of his future also, right? And the second thing is muscular injuries, like muscle cramps, catch-ups, strains and all. For these things, you need first aid. For that, coaches should aware of what kind of first aid you need for that. Suppose it's a muscle catch-up or cramps. First thing we do is stretching. Immediately stretch the part which is affected. So after that, little bit of stretching and all, still it's not, then you may need some electrolytes or hydration. Because of dehydration, it may be. So for that also, we have to take the suggestions of physiotherapists. But before taking suggestions also, I suggest all the coaches should have a minimum of first aid knowledge, and it should be with you all the time, like bandages for which cut and bleeding, for all these things. To stop the bleeding, what you have to do, put some ice, then medicine, then put bandage, because it should not be exposed. If it dust comes in onto the injury and all, it will cause more and more. So first you have to arrest that bleeding, what to do to bleeding. These kind of first aid techniques, all the coaches should know that. And muscle cramps, stretches and all, for which muscle you have to do what kind of stretch to restrict that injury, because so that the player can immediately come out if it is minimal. And one thing I want is, don't force the athletes out of their injuries, because instead of going with a small thing, unnecessarily it has become aggravated, and it will have a big loss for both the player and personally, and for the team also, for the coach also. It's a very important point. It is in a coaches and players relation. It should be always a cordial relation, because first thing is that a coach should have confidence on the player, and then inherits a lot of confidence in himself. Then the player should have a confidence in the coach. If coach is always scolding and full of aggression and all this thing, a player may not be confident or comfortable. I can use comfortable. He may not be comfortable to tell his feelings or his pains and all to the coach. Suppose he did tell all his pains, some pains will be very internal, this thing, right? So if he didn't tell, a coach doesn't observe it, then it will be a big problem in the future, coming future. To avoid that, a coach should always maintain a good cordial relation, like in a friendly relation, and up to the within the limit, so that players should open up. If they have any trouble, they have any pain or something like that, they should open up and come and talk to the coach. Coach is nothing but a part of your team, right? He's maybe elder, but he's have more expertise, this thing theoretically or some practically. But you are the ones who have to perform, so you should come to coach and talk to the coach that what you are having exactly. Then coach will decide it. That kind of relation always should be good for the sport and good for the player also, because he has to play for a long time. He should not hide the injuries just because of the because he's scared of coach and all. And if he continues with that same small injury, it will aggravate it, and it will be a big problem for you in the future. See, every human body is different from other human body, right? So coaches should observe that first. Everyone is not the same, and according to their physical demands and physical capabilities, a coach should adjust all this training. And very important factor, a lot of people didn't notice that, is rest. People practice nutrition, so you can hear everywhere nowadays, but rest is as good as other two factors. Unless you don't give rest, the biggest thing to happen is fatigue. Fatigue you can't see it physically, but it is one of the important factors that which will affect your performance. So the conditioning means preparing is very important, nutrition is very important, and rest is also very important. With all these things, you have to prepare yourself, that is also very important. Every human body is different from other human body. Like every gender, male gender is and female, their anatomy is completely different. You cannot demand the same with each other, right? You cannot ask everyone to jump the same high level, because everybody has different qualities, different standards, different strengths and all. So you have to observe that. A coach has to notice that. And then age is one thing. You cannot demand a 35-year-old athlete or a 30-year-old athlete like 20-year-old. If you do that, what will happen? The outcome is injuries, because everybody is different, every body is different. They have their own standards. According to that, we have to plan. That is where coach has to use his own strategies. You have to strategize. Like you can demand a 20-year-old guy run like anything for the 40 minutes in a game, but you cannot demand the same thing to a 30-year-old or 35-year-old guy to do the same thing with the same speed, same intensity, because the recovery levels are different from the 20-year-old body and 35-year-old body. According to that, because that is, we cannot change it. So we have to go according to that, and we have to plan according to that, so that we can avoid injuries and we can get the optimum results. If we are going in a higher level, the demands is very, very high. The expectations, because of expectations are very high, standards are very high. The demands on your one's body, that is an athlete's body, is very, very high. And for everything there is a limitation. Because of competition is going high, the standards are increasing, the lot of demands going on, because you need a lot of strength to match the opponent. That is where these all things comes out. So for that, to avoid that, according to this, that you have to prepare yourself. If you are playing at the highest level, if you are not preparing yourself according to that levels, your conditioning, your fitness and your preparation is not up to that level, you can't perform at that level. But still someone forcing, or you are forcing your body, obviously there will be a negative this. Very most important thing is that first aid available at the team bench, team players with the coach and the team, whatever it may be. If the physiotherapist is there or is there, but even if a physiotherapist is there also, a coach should always know about the first aid, have some knowledge about first aid, minimum to minimum knowledge about the first aid, because everything you cannot depend, every time you cannot depend on others. Sometimes you have to react immediately, like in a CPR. CPR, what is CPR, how to give a CPR, to whom to give a CPR, these kind of, because nowadays, because of lot of pressures and loads, because of the athletes, there is a lot of pressure for the highest standards. So there are a lot of vigorous training. All and mentally also they're all very too much of load and pressure, because all these are creating some going beyond the limits. Sometimes the athlete's body is not able to take it. There are some kind of new injuries are coming up. One is nowadays what we hear is cardiac arrest, all these things. So for that, coaches should have minimum knowledge of CPR and all. The player has injured, like it's a cut or something like that, what to do, how to stop the bleeding, and is a muscle pull or cramps. A coach should know what kind of stretches has to be done so that it come to normal, his muscles come to normal, then what to apply, and still he doesn't come to normal, what kind of electrolytes he need. Minimum, this is all minimum knowledge nowadays. And best thing is that nowadays there are a lot of courses, crash courses for the coaches about the first aid, this thing. I suggest all the coaches go for it, but it will definitely give better results for the coaches as well as players. Mental fitness is one thing that so many people, whether the coaches or players, are neglecting it. It is one important thing. So you should be prepared to take that load, and you should be prepared to perform under that kind of demands. Pressure comes from demands, right? Demands comes from the highest standards, whether it is yours or opponents. To maintain your own highest standards also demands a lot of workouts. So for that, you have to take that load, means you have to be prepared for that. Prepare that, Otherwise, if you are not prepared mentally, you cannot instruct your body to perform, to prepare that according to that standards. Where both opponents are very equal, but who will win? The one who can hold their nerves on that particular moment win that point. So that mental fitness, you cannot see it, but still it is existing in all the standards, all the levels, all the time. Only thing is that you cannot see it, so that you cannot neglect it. There are some things to improve your mental fitness, like meditation and all, yoga. You have to follow that, but unfortunately we are neglecting it. I suggest everyone, whether it is a player or coach or any team, supporting team or team management, team owners, all to concentrate on mental fitness, so that the professional at the highest level also, your professionals can perform better.